Welcome to our Chain Lightning Vision. Mother will be talking about the environment for part 4 on our question, what can we do to save our planet? Or it's really, what can we do to save ourselves? So in part 3, Mother talked about the fact that we don't really want to change, and this is why the planet is sending us messages, because we are really acting like spoiled kids. We want to keep everything for ourselves, and we don't have the humility to admit that. So Mother will be doing part 4 of what can we do to save the planet or ourselves. Thank you, Mother.
The question is at this moment, what can we do individually? Because I already explained that for humanity as a whole, if you analyze the situation in all honesty, the problems, the environmental problems itself, will probably do the work. We will as a whole undergo the pressure of catastrophes, and then we will move on as a whole. But that will be in more or less the catastrophes will be more or less huge if you depending on what individuals, in spite of everything, do or don't do. You cannot sit down and wait until the water comes into your house to say, well, now we are going to do something, all of us. As I already told, you have to act. Well, in fact, you don't have to, you're free not to. But you better act for yourself, because you're part of humanity, because that can lower the force of the catastrophes that might await us. And also because I was explaining our philosophy should include the idea of reincarnation, and you're not working for this life, you're also and mainly working for your next life, if you act positively. But still, for this life, acting positively has an impact on the people around you, on what will, yes or no, happen on a larger scale, even though things probably have to happen in a more catastrophic way. What can you do as an individual? To understand that, I think you have to come back again to a more broader view, and at the same time a very basic view on what is the goal of the problem. I have talked already about man taking himself as the center of the universe with his knowledge, with his wealth, with his power. He thinks he's ruling over the earth and can make the earth, put her into his service, exploiting her, taking too much out of the earth, more than man himself needs, just for the gain of money. I think it's that attitude, this egoistical, self-centered attitude that only thinks about in terms of becoming more wealthy and more powerful, even if I have to destroy creatures around me to obtain my own power and wealth. This self-centered attitude, I think that is in the first place attacked, if you can talk about the attacked. This is what is aimed in this situation. So if you say, what can I do? I would say, look at those domains in your life where you're too self-centered, where you are aiming for the easy solution, whereas something in you knows that you should have more effort, where you should do more, where you should have more courage, and that is a word that I would like to use from now on more and more, because that's the problem, I think. Not only are we very often egoistic, but behind our egoism is a lack of courage. The courage to stand out, to say your opinion, not to do as the people do around you, not to do as your husband, your children, or your wife, your family, your colleagues. To dare to say, I don't eat this, I don't drink this, I don't buy that, because I want to do something positive for myself and for the planet. It seems very simple, this statement, almost insignificant, but I have, in my observations, it's the first and the most important point in people's lives. Daring to say that you don't agree out of your innermost truth, that courage is not given to everybody, and I would even say 2/3 of the people don't have it. And if it's just yes or no drinking a glass of wine, well, then you might say it's still your problem. But if it comes to accepting to wear clothes you don't want to wear, or to buy too much, to buy meat whereas you would like to buy less meat, to drive the car to faraway destinations where you feel you shouldn't go there at that moment. That is what it's about on a very basic daily scale. What you have to do in an individual way is seemingly so small, but is so important, because if you're honest, you just lack the courage, because you don't want to face your wife or your husband. You have to say no where they want yes. I have seen in my life, around me and in my life, that environmental problems, the roots of this problem is in your daily life at all those occasions where you should say no and you never do it. And if you add this up in several billions of people, if you see this on the scale of several billions of people on this earth, then you can understand why the problem is big. What do you expect from somebody who's in the government? Do you think he will say no against certain laws when he feels he should? Whereas at home, he doesn't even dare to say to his wife that she should use the car a bit less. What do you expect? He will say no to the laws about petrol importation or exportation. You think he will vote for more solar energy? No, because then you lack scientific thinking. That's to say, what you don't do in your daily life at home, you will not do, even when you're in the government, because you lack the courage in both of the domains. And even if you say no in the government, everybody feels that it's not there's something that's not true. So the law will not be voted. Perhaps that's the most difficult point of this question, to know that it is linked to a kind of behavior on a very daily scale. And that's where it's most difficult to change. Because how many parents don't dare to say to their own children not to take the car? Or, I won't give you a car for your birthday, even if you have 18 years now, if you are 18 now. You have to work for it yourself, and I don't agree. Perhaps we should take the bus a bit more, or we should do things in another way, in one way or another. but more, and then I come to the second point, a more simple lifestyle. Who dares to live it, to stand up for it in his own life, and who dares to ask that in an indirect way from his environment? I think they're not much. Oh, they are. There are people who are like that. Ah, yes, and we can be glad that they are there. But it's not a majority. So I come back again on the point, environmental problems will oblige us, because we lack the courage. We lack the courage to say to the other, well, I think you can walk there to the shop, you don't have to take the car. And in the first place, do it myself. That is where environmental problems start. But we will change, that is sure, because we will be obliged by the environment, by the difficulties. That's not even hope that I have, that's purely mathematical thinking. And then I think that those who have the courage to change things gradually in their own lives, they will be at the first place when it comes up to start something new on this earth, which we will certainly do. Because the earth is patient, has many resources, but we're quite numerous, and it's only getting bigger. So there will be a stop somewhere one day, and that's why I'm talking about a new start. That new start will come. And then those who have understood what it's all about will very naturally be given the opportunity to act and to be examples. That's my profound conviction, because that's what history shows me in many ways. That's also why I say you need to do something for yourself, because that you will see, perhaps not today and not tomorrow, but in time you will see that that's what will give you a satisfaction, and that's what will work for yourself and for this earth. But it has to do with being clear with yourself on a very daily basis. When you can walk, you should. It's also the education you give to your children. And that's perhaps what we can talk about in the next emission of this subject. It has to do with you, what you do with your children, and your philosophy of life. And I think in a very profound way, the environmental problems want to show to man that what's basically wrong is our philosophy.
Thank you, Mother. This was part 4 of Mother's answer on how we can save the planet, or how can we save ourselves. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the part 5 of Mother's answer, and write us your comments. We will be happy to read them all. So we will see you at the next one.
Amène-moi un jour au-delà de ces nuages. Amène-moi un jour en rêve. Amène-moi un jour au-dessus de toutes les vagues. Amène-moi un jour, pourrais-je toute la vie, la trame d'une même histoire, toute la vie, une quête qui se poursuit, toute la vie, récit